as Daika so eloquently said, we came back from 2 days of visits to Benchu, where we saw the floods and the impact of true climatic shocks and how it makes more people vulnerable. We went to Malakal and Renk and saw the returnees and the refugees come in every day from Sudan. And I must say, we saw a lot of suffering, we saw a lot of misery, and we saw a lot of hope and encouragement. And I do want to start by emphasizing something already said. The generosity of the South Sudanese people has been incredible to see in Malakal and Renk. Accommodating over 1 million people who have crossed the border either as returnees or as refugees in a time when we know many of them are vulnerable and need assistance themselves is nothing short of commendable and truly signals the humanity and the links between the communities. So a great appreciation from us in the World Food Programme to the people of South Sudan. I met a lady called Khamisa. Khamisa crossed over from the outskirts of Khartoum. She came with 2 kids, walked, she said, for days. She doesn't know how long it took her. But she walked, she got buses. Ultimately, weeks later, she made her way to Renk. And what she said is, everyone who received her has been gracious, assistance has been in place, the people were kind to her and her children, and she's looking forward to returning to Bahr el-Ghazal, where she is from. So many stories like Khamisa's were actually really heartening and positive to hear. I met Selma, a grandmother who came in with 4 children, and she crossed over from Sinnar. She's a refugee. She doesn't know where her daughter and husband are, but she had the kids when the war broke out and she ran. And while she has been really grateful for the assistance that we provide collectively as a humanitarian community and with the generosity of the German government and others, she says she continues to pray for the war to stop, for the conflict to end, so she can return home. She, like my mother, and like millions in Sudan, continue to pray that that comes true soon. But the stories that I tell you of misery and of hope, and our ability to assist a lot of these mothers and pregnant women and children would not have been possible without the support of the German government. In a world that is on fire, Germany made the time, through Daika and colleagues here, to come and visit and see for themselves what is happening here in South Sudan, both the generosity and the needs. And I really want to extend my appreciation also to you and to the teams behind you who
exceeded this pledge, spending 320 million euros in bilateral assistance for the Sudan crisis, and that means for Sudan and neighboring countries. And of course, every 4th euro of EU funding for humanitarian assistance is also coming from the German budget. We also organized a political event at the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York last September, where we brought together key stakeholders to talk about a possible political way forward to tackle the crisis in Sudan. So what we keep saying and we keep working for is we urgently need a ceasefire in Sudan in order to stop the suffering, to stop the war, and thus also to stop the crisis from creeping into other countries. And let me add that we commend South Sudan's hospitality for the refugees from Sudan, despite own hardships here in this country. And let me reassure you that Germany will continue its support. So Germany has been for a long time the 2nd biggest bilateral donor to South Sudan. We have provided more than 60 million euros last year, and we will remain engaged this year too. And we have also provided 3 million euros in stabilization money for projects here in South Sudan. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to deliver this assessment, free and unimpeded humanitarian access is essential. So we are very grateful that South Sudan kept the borders open. But if we want to overcome the multitude of challenges in the flooded and conflict-affected regions, it is of utmost importance that humanitarian assistance is neither politicized nor conditioned. We commend South Sudan's role in mitigating the regional impact of the Sudan crisis despite its own hardships, including by hosting tens of thousands of refugees and returnees, and it was really striking to see the impact on the ground of this crisis. While we stand ready to support the South Sudanese people, we also urge the South Sudanese government to take on more responsibility for the humanitarian emergency in this country and for the protection of people in need. Safety for humanitarian workers and unimpeded humanitarian access, as I said, to people in need, as well as the respect of applicable refugee law are essential to us. And this applies particularly to the staggering levels of sexual and gender-based violence and sexual exploitation and abuse affecting women and adolescent girls in South Sudan. And I can share with you that we really heard some horrific stories when we were up north. But we also saw the courage and the strength of women to overcome these challenges, to find new ways for a better way.